Hi, Fred here for another Tuesday Tent Talk with Greg from Franklin Plaza. Hey Greg, thanks for taking your time out and talking to us about this venue. Greg has a catering facility in Troy, New York, Franklin Plaza.
Yeah.
Tell us a little bit about it.
Well, Franklin Plaza is an old bank in downtown Troy, about 4 or 5 years of catering. We primarily are weddings. It's mostly what we do in large galas and corporate events. And we're looking forward to hosting a wedding in this beautiful tent right here behind us.
Well, thanks, Greg. Greg has done a project with Fred's Tents. We didn't talk about that before we went on the camera here, but we did a project on your rooftop. Can we talk a little bit about that?
So we have a rooftop at our old building, and we put a tent structure on top there, not a permanent structure, but a tent, so the guests can still go outside the rooftop in inclement weather to enjoy the outside area. And we work with Fred here and his team, and they built a beautiful structure overlooking the whole town, downtown Troy area and the Hudson River waterfront area, which is great.
Yeah, if you ever get a chance or you have an event, hopefully stop by and think of Franklin Plaza. We have Greg here today to talk about the venue that we're doing in our new garden tent series. Greg is going to bring in his team here in another week and do the catering. Some of the things that people need to look for or be aware of when they do off-site catering. What from your side of it can you talk about?
Well, definitely off-site catering, definitely outside is definitely a major factor because of weather. You can't control weather.
Sure.
And the elements any elements can happen. So with a structure like this behind us, walls, ceilings, it's actually AC'd, full powered. Makes our lives a lot easier, like we're working inside of an actual facility, like Franklin Plaza itself. Also, think about water, facilities, restrooms, stuff like that. Also, we have to manage. It's definitely a big factor also that we have to consider.
Yeah, and this particular garden tent has hard glass walls, so we don't have walls blowing. If there is a little bit of a breeze, I personally, and I think Greg will agree, putting a flooring. The flooring is a little bit costly to do sometimes, especially if it's elevated, but at the end of the day, your people are dry, they're not in the grass, you don't have to worry about it being muddy. That floor definitely adds that element. One of the things when we were walking through today, Greg, looking at the cook tent that's connected to the garden tent, it's a 30 by 60 FTKS. We were talking about the ramp, ramp and stairs. You had opted to go with bowls. You want to talk about that a little bit?
Yep. So we're different levels. The kitchen tent is actually lower than the base of the
about
tent.
70 inches.
70 inches. So we had the options of how you want to do a ramp or stairs, and I actually opted to do both. I want the stairs for quick access from the service tent right directly to serve the guests. So to cut down on that lead time of walking the ramp. We still want the ramp so that way in prepping we can hoist up everything up the ramp on carts and stuff like that and make it easier for us. But then during service time we're going to use the stairs. We have to do that just because we have 50 team members here and we got to serve 200 300 people at one time. We need to make sure that we have adequate timing to get the food from the kitchen that's hot to the people so they can enjoy themselves.
Right. Yeah, and 70 inches, if the normal ramp is 1 inch per foot, we're talking almost 70 foot of ramp. So you've got to take that into consideration when you're doing your sizing and your elevation. It's going to take up quite a bit of room. So 30 by 60 for the cook tent. That will be floored. I often recommend fans in those kitchen tents just to keep some air, keep those chefs cool when they're working in there. High bay lighting. We did elevate, which you'll see in some of the pictures, the cook tent to 10-foot legs, getting a little bit more airflow through that cook tent. And then we ended up taking part of the garden tent and using that as back of house to clean the dishes. So almost a 5-meter bay by 24 feet to 25 feet, for back of house. So a lot of space is used up in that catering. You got to think about that, especially when you're sizing the tent, to make sure you have enough room for ramps, air ventilation, and back of house to clean it. Greg, anything else that you want to talk about as far as the tent or any obstacles that we have?
Obstacles, no. Obstacles, like you said, space for catering. Real estate is prime to us. So, storing things, keeping so it's easy, so we serve guests quickly and easily, and being well equipped. By looking at this structure here, this is so impressive. It looks like a structure that is actually in a garden, but it's actually a tent, which is unbelievable. And it looks like we're actually at a facility, but we're actually at a tent in a
yard that can be,
which is amazing.
Well,
and we're looking forward to being here next week and tackling this wedding, and then we're sure gonna blow people's minds away with our food and beverage.
Well,
but overly, look at this landscaping. Everything here is gonna be beautiful.
Beautiful. Well, I appreciate it, Greg. Thanks again for taking some time off. If you ever get a chance or need any catering or venue, they have a beautiful bank that they've redone. The staff there, we've done several events there. They do a great job. Highly recommend it. Thank you to you and your staff at Franklin Plaza. For Fred at another Tuesday Tent Talk, we'll see you next week at TTT wemaketents.com.